Homeowner and contractor in dispute over unfinished window grills. UNHCR donates 48 prefabricated homes. Guyana objects to new CAPE and CSEC formats. In the region, LIAC commercial flights remain suspended until June 30th. And internationally, Vaccines Alliance raises $8.8 billion for global immunization plan. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am George Gonzalez. Thank you for joining us. The national recount is likely to be completed by the new week. All 12 workstations are now focusing on Region 4, as Regions 6 and 10 were completed yesterday. With an average of 80 boxes per day, it is projected that the recounting of the ballots could be completed by Monday, June the 8th. GCOM had extended the recount timeline to June 13th and planned to make the final declaration of the results 3 days later. The declarations will be made after the commission following their deliberation on the full report by the Chief Elections Officer. The United Nations recently donated 48 prefabricated houses to the governments of Guyana to assist in the efforts against COVID-19. Bibi Bacchus tells us how the government plans to use these homes in this report.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees recently donated 48 prefabricated homes to the Guyana government. This donation is expected to play a significant part in the country's fight against COVID-19. They will be set up at specifically designated locations to help regional administrations house patients affected by the coronavirus disease. The prefabricated units can be shipped and assembled at site. On Thursday, June 4, 2020, Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Karen Gordon-Boyle disclosed that these units will be set up in every region with special attention to remote locations. She also detailed that Region 5 is the first to benefit from this initiative. The DCMO thanked the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees for their gesture, noting that the ministry looks forward to future collaborations. The UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, is a global organization dedicated to saving lives, protecting rights, and building a better future for refugees, forcibly displaced communities, and stateless peoples. For Headline News Update, Bibi Bacchus.
Thanks, Bibi. Stick around. Coming up after the break, homeowner and contractor in dispute over grills, and Guyana objects to new CAPE and CSEC format.
Smart Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized gear, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness. Or join our Beccaphonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
Hurry down to Zasco on 15 North Road between Camp and Wellington Streets. Quality products at low cost for every room in your home. 65 and 55 inches Hisense 4K smart TVs. Samsung French door fridges. Black & Decker appliances, queen and king size Canadian-made mattresses. German-made pressure pots in 5 to 9 liters. 12-piece pot sets, knife sets, cutlery sets and pans, commercial fans. Samsung smart stoves. Canadian-made 3-piece recliner sofa sets. Air fryers and Hamilton Beach hot and cold water dispenser.
Oh gosh, what is this? My son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I gonna do here?
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Purja Singh and I'm the senior teacher at the Literature After School program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online side, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Education objected to the new structure for the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate and Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examinations, scheduled for August to July. Guyana is one of 4 other CARICOM countries who also objected to the new exam structure. Superintendent of Exams Sauda Kadir said the rejection was due to the limited access to the internet, especially for hinterland students. As such, Guyanese students will not be taking the new digital format. Rather, they will continue to do the tests by paper. Approval was granted by CARICOM's Council for Human and Social Development for the exams to be held in July and August, and the results will be made available by the first week in September 2020. 11,998 students are registered to write the CXCs in Guyana, and 852 are registered to write CAPE. One homeowner in Herstelling is currently at odds with a contractor she hired to install grills on her home. According to her, it's been 8 months now, and he has yet to even complete the job. Esther Sobers spoke to both the homeowner and the contractor and filed this report.
8 months ago, Leslie Bourne hired a contractor to install grills on the windows of her home in Herstelling, East Bank, Denraro. But what was supposed to be a simple job is now simply a headache. According to Bourne, she spent over $675,000 in building materials, which is yet to be used in her home.
The 1st or the 2nd of November, a guy we call Sharpman, he lives in the same street in Sophia. He asked me to do some work. He was out of job, he wasn't getting work, and he begged us to buy the seal to do our grill work. Since then, I could share voice message after voice message on WhatsApp that we've been pleading and asking him to bring in the stuff.
After several conversations with the contractor, Bourne is now contemplating legal action.
Since January to now, I've been engaged with my lawyer. My lawyer asked me the other day to call him and give him a day to come in, or stipulate a time and so he could come in. If you don't, let the police know. I did exactly what my lawyer said, and he never responded. I went to the police. The police wanted the statement in Turkine police station because the guys and him is friends. He said, I gotta get his address and it don't work like that. And I said, anyhow, he heard back that I was there, and he told me, you can call for they don't come in. He never did.
Headline News contacted the contractor, who is based in Sophia. He confirmed that he has the materials in his yard, but he refuses to finish the job as he insisted that Bourne was reluctant to pay his workmanship fee of $105,000. But he will allow Bourne to uplift the grills if she pays him $50,000. Headline News also relates the contractor's proposal to Bourne.
My stuff been taking rain and sun since November month. I don't know if the item is good enough. I have to get somebody to look at it. I have to look at it also. I'm not going to run and pay for something, and then when it's in the house, it's rotten out on me. And this thing been there since November. You check it, it's 8 months he had my stuff. 8 months he had my stuff. And he just has it there. For what reason, I don't know.
For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. The man accused of killing 61-year-old Sati Monica Singh Bekkeri faced a vigilance magistrate's court to answer the charge of murder. 35-year-old driver Rafiq Khan was not required to plead to the charge, which stated that on June 1, 2020, at Atlantic Gardens, East Coast Demerara, he murdered Singh Bekkeri. He was remanded to prison until June 20th, when he will appear at the Sparendam Magistrates Court. Don't go away. Coming up after the break, Liat commercial flights remain suspended until June 30th, and Vaccines Alliance raises $8.8 billion for global immunization plans.
Smart Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized care, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness. Or join our Becca Phonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
Hurry down to Zasco on 15 North Road between Camp and Wellington Streets. Quality products at low cost for every room in your home. 65 and 55 inches Hisense 4K smart TVs. Samsung French door fridges. Black & Decker appliances, queen and king size Canadian-made mattresses. German-made pressure pots in 5 to 9 liters. 12-piece pot sets, knife sets, cutlery sets and pans, commercial fans. Samsung smart stoves. Canadian-made 3-piece recliner sofa sets. Air fryers and Hamilton Beach hot and cold water dispenser.
Oh gosh, what is this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I could do here.
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Singh and I'm the senior teacher at the Literature After School program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online side, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Chief Executive Officer of the regional air carrier, Liat, Julie Reefer Jones, says the airline's commercial passenger services will remain suspended until June 30th due to the continued impact of the novel coronavirus pandemic. According to Reefer Jones, most of Liat's network remains closed to commercial passenger traffic. While some territories have announced a reopening date, there are still many protocols to be implemented, such as testing and mandatory quarantine periods, which will allow for the safe movement of passengers. The airline CEO also said the situation is being closely monitored across the Liat network and flights will resume when it is safe for passengers to do so. Thousands of people in Argentina have defied a coronavirus lockdown to join protests calling for an end to the killing of women. Women rights groups say at least 57 women are known to have been killed since the start of the lockdown. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bow reports.
It's been 5 years since the Not One Less movement in Argentina became a force to defend women's rights in this South American country. The spread of COVID-19 prevented the gathering of thousands of people in front of the presidential palace, but some of them say they cannot stay at home when women continue to die almost daily.
We started because we were angry as there's no justice and it hasn't been resolved and continues to fail. Every 26 hours a woman dies because there's no budget assigned to fight violence.
Since the quarantine was imposed in March, at least 57 are known to have been killed by their partners or former partners. 77 children lost their mothers. Even though the government has created a women's ministry and implemented measures to try and prevent women from being abused, NGOs say more needs to be done.
They believe that imposing a protective measure to defend a woman can prevent violence by itself. And it's not the case. Right now there are women living with their aggressors and nobody can protect them, especially in times of quarantine.
NGOs say proof that the current policies are failing are the 300 women that have been killed in the past year.
People came here not only to demand more government action to prevent femicides in this country, but also to demand the legalization of abortion in Argentina. Abortions are only authorized in this country if a woman's life is at risk or in case of rape.
President Alberto Fernández was expected to present a new law in Congress this year to legalize abortion, but the whole process was delayed because of COVID-19.
Seguo con grande preoccupazione.
It's a divisive issue in Argentina, where the Catholic Church and Pope Francis, who is Argentinian, are strong opponents. Celeste Fierro says it's time to divide church and state in this mostly Catholic country.
We want to separate the church from the state because they get millions in subsidies, when there's only $1 per woman, to protect them from gender violence. Whomever wants a priest, they can pay for it. The government shouldn't give money to an institution that goes against women's rights.
Rights that these people vow to continue fighting for to save women's lives. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera, Buenos Aires.
And internationally, the Vaccines Alliance has raised $8.8 billion for global immunization plans, exceeding its target. The immunizations have been put on hold due to the coronavirus crisis, putting millions of children at risk. Al Jazeera's Charlie Angela has more.
In the past 20 years, one thing has reduced child mortality by half. That's vaccinations. But since the coronavirus outbreak, many countries have suspended their immunization programs, putting 80 million babies at risk. Preventable diseases like measles, polio, cholera and diphtheria were slowly being wiped out. But the World Health Organization is now reporting outbreaks of measles in Cambodia and Nepal and clusters of cholera in Ethiopia. There are fears the hard-won gains may be eroded.
We cannot exchange one deadly outbreak for another. We cannot afford to lose decades of health gains that everyone has worked so hard to achieve. We need joint concerted efforts to put vaccinations back on track. And there are many ways we can do this.
World leaders pledged $8.8 billion at a virtual vaccine summit to ensure some 300 million children between now and 2025 get the protection they need.
Our pledge today is $300 million Australian dollars.
Also on the agenda, how to make an eventual vaccine against COVID-19 available to those who need it most, not just the countries who can afford it.
I would like to announce the launch of the COVID-19 Global Vaccine Access Facility, or COVAX facility as we're calling it. Participating countries will receive access to a portfolio of vaccines procured by the facility and based upon an allocation framework and at a negotiated price.
The race to find a vaccine is unprecedented. What usually takes 10 years is being attempted in 18 months. 2 laboratories are pulling ahead of the pack with small but successful clinical trials. Oxford University is testing its vaccine on 1,000 volunteers, while a US biotech company, Moderna, announced its vaccine had already generated antibodies in 8 volunteers. Whoever does develop a successful vaccine stands to make millions. Despite calling for a new era of global health cooperation at the summit, the UK and the US have refused to back a WHO initiative that would make an eventual vaccine patent-free. Both countries have already reserved millions of doses of the future vaccine. But the UN is warning against vaccine nationalism, because with coronavirus, unless everyone is safe, no one is safe. Charlie Angela, Al Jazeera.
That's all for today's regional and international news. Here is your 3-day weather forecast. That's it for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Tune in Monday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Also, visit our website at